tea time on day one of this first test at the Adelaide Oval. 143 for 687 runs, 2 wickets. You think that's an improvement, but after India were 56 for 4 at lunch, they needed Pujara and Rohit to try and go through an entire session unscathed. It didn't happen because for some strange reason Rohit Sharma went for 2 hoiks in 2 balls and perished on the second. Pujara standing tall, 46 not out of 141, 4 wickets for the Pacers in the first session and the only 2 in this one to Nathan Lyon. VVS Laxman, Ajit Agarkar and Brad Hodge will try and answer some questions as to what goes on in a batsman's mind when he plays shots like that. Ajit Agarkar will have no such
I'd be happy if the batsmen bat the way they did. I think it's just more of the same. Australia, very good, consistent, but in these flat conditions, I think India's made their job a lot easier. I think, again, some poor shot selection. Rohit batted so well. Everyone can see his obvious talent and potential, but just can't seem to go on and get a big one in Test cricket when India needs it.
I mean, as well as Pujara's played, we'll come to that later. I think the general question on everyone's mind would be Rohit Sharma is looking so good. Why does he play a shot like that?
I think it's just a lack of focus, lack of concentration, and it's nothing to do with his technique, nothing to do with his skill. It's just pure lapse of concentration, And what was really disappointing was Rohit looked so good, and this was a great opportunity because not very often as a number 6 batsman you get this opportunity where you can build an innings. You got the amount of time. The wicket is a flat wicket, nothing happening.
And a batsman at the other end.
And a batsman at the other end who's like a pillar, who's like the junior wall, I call him. And he was batting well. He got a start. I can understand if he gets out early, then there's no issue. And the previous ball, he was almost out, So that's when you suddenly realize I can't throw it away. And still he continues to play goes on to play that kind of shot. So that will be really disappointing as far as
I'd like to think he decided that he's going to take Nathan Lyon on, which may not be a bad plan. But like you said, the previous ball when that's happened, are you expecting a Pujara to go up to him and say, no, that's not necessary? Or is Rohit Sharma seasoned enough to know that himself?
I think not only Rohit Sharma, any batsman will know that he almost got out. He should have been in the pavilion, but he's got one more chance, and this is the time for me to capitalize. And just because it was very evident that Rohit Sharma was going out there and playing his natural game. How often do you see someone of a fast bowler hitting a 6 over extra cover? Rohit Sharma did that. You can expect him to play a pull shot because whenever he plays the pull shot, he doesn't keep the ball along the ground. He plays the ball in the air and he got a 6. But over extra covers, when the team was under pressure to go out and play, that means he's going out and expressing himself, which is good. But repeating the same mistake in 2 consecutive deliveries, I think that's not you expect from an experienced player like Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, if anything, the second one was the worst shot that he got out to. Strange, because till then, he played Nathan Lyon on the merit of the ball, even though he had attacking intent. Drove 1 through covers, I think, just before lunch. So suddenly 2 real hoiks out of nowhere.
And the other thing is, yes, I see that there is a conscious effort from the Indian batsmen to step out and try to unsettle the rhythm of Nathan Lyon, because we've seen not only in Australia, when Australia toured India, whenever Nathan Lyon settles down into rhythm, the amount of deliveries he bowls in that area, which is the perfect length for his off spinner, and the line is amazing. The discipline he shows, you're trying to unsettle him. But when you step out, it's not necessary to only play a lofted shot. You also know you should have the ability to rotate the strike, play the shot along the ground, and that's something which is very important, because that's the skill, that's the footwork you require to play against a quality bowler. Nathan Lyon is a quality spinner. So use the depth of the crease, use the footwork to go to the pitch of the ball, but you can play along the ground. And the worst thing for a bowler, whether a fast bowler or a spinner, is when the batsman has got the ability to rotate the strike. And that didn't happen so far in this innings as far as the Indian batsmen are concerned against Lyon.
Let's take nothing away from Nathan Lyon and the Australians, who, in spite of losing the toss, in spite of this pitch not necessarily assisting the bowlers as much, have continued to just chip away. They've annoyed India's batsmen, and Rohit Sharma has fallen for the 4th time to Nathan Lyon as a result in Test cricket. That's the matchup for you, an average of 22. So let's just go to Brad Hodge, waiting for us, of course, at Adelaide. And Hodge, one thing that's a terrible shot in that situation, established here by VVS and Ajit. But no credit taken away from Australia, who've given very few loose balls or just let things away. They've kept their fields, they've kept at it. They deserve those 2 wickets fully.
Yeah, well, I think they've had an outstanding 2 sessions of cricket. They've stuck to their plans well. They've come in with a clear plan as to pitch the ball up early, try and get the Indian players nicking, and they've drawn in loose shots. And Nathan Lyon's been outstanding. And I think we've seen a few loose shots from the Indian batsmen, which has let the Australians in.
Speaking of Nathan Lyon, when he went past 300 test wickets, with due respect to Nathan Lyon, it raises some eyebrows. A player like Nathan Lyon, I don't know how many people thought he'd go on to get this achievement. I don't know what you make of it, but day one to have the kind of results. I know it's just 2 wickets, but the impact he has, the way he just does his job, it goes to show why he's reached where he has, hasn't he?
Yeah, I was just talking to Darren Lehman behind set, and he was just explaining to me about the evolution of Nathan Lyon and how much of an impact he's had in this Australian side, especially as an off spinner, similar to that of Ravi Ashwin. That not only are they effective on day 3, 4, and 5, but Nathan Lyon is extremely effective on day 1 and 2. And when you have the respect of the Indian batsmen, when you speak to them, they say that Nathan Lyon is a fantastic bowler and a great competitor and an excellent executioner of what he does. You know that you've got a good amount of respect, given the fact that we know that Indian batsmen are great players of spin. So, great credit to Nathan Lyon. He's got 320 wickets now for Australia, and as a spin bowler in this country, that's outstanding.
I mean, of all the little contests that we have in this series, forget top batsmen and the fast bowlers, there's one Lyon versus Ashwin contest that we'll keep an eye out on. And this is the sort of valuable impact you want from your lead-off spinner. It may not be the ideal time for you to bowl, maybe it's better off to bowl a little later, but it 2 for 51, maybe he'll end at 2 wickets in this innings. But he's done a job significantly to dent India's resurgence.
In a 4-man attack where you have 3 seamers who are going to be having to work hard on that first day. You need control from the other end. Okay, he's gone for 3 runs and over. Well, there's some two really important wickets in Rohit Sharma and Pant. It's bowled exceptionally well for a first day. I mean, the amount of drift that he gets, or even the amount of times that he's beaten guys who were trying to get to the pitch of the ball and never quite got there. Even Rahane at the start of his innings, Pujara, who's so good against spin, a lot of times the amount of dip that he gets, just exceptional. I mean, anyone who gets over 300 test wickets has got to be an exceptional performer. Yeah,
over a tenth of them at the Adelaide Oval. So well done, Nathan Lyon. And he's also adding to Ajit Agarkar's Fab 4 tally for the day. The only man who actually picked him. Rohit Sharma's wicket means that Brad Hodge's runs from India have now come to an end. He relies on Josh
all
Hazelwood.
the good players of spin have retired. So.
We'll have a glance at that leaderboard. This Fab 4 game we've been playing with VVS, Ajit and Brad. As the runs, wickets and catches come along, they get points. 2 wickets to Nathan Lyon in that session has taken Ajit Agarkar from 3rd place to top spot. VVS Laxman is taking his time in the 70s, and Brad Hodge, courtesy of a few runs from Rohit Sharma and a moment of madness, has to stay at 91. Josh Hazelwood will get everyone's points up, so that won't make as much of a difference. So Ajit stands a chance to add a lot more. Cheteshwar Pujara. I don't know whether you'd like one guy in the team to be more of an influence in one format, and while I'm sure every batsman would want to be Virat Kohli in the Indian team, maybe it'll be nice for a few batsmen to want to emulate Cheteshwar Pujara more and more.
And there are very few batsmen I can tell you who can emulate Cheteshwar Pujara, because patience is a virtue. And I think it's really good to see the kind of application and the grit and determination which Pujara is showing. The mistake he made probably 1 year back was try to change. There was a lot of talk about him playing. He has his strike rate, which doesn't has any meaning in Test match cricket, and he tried to change his game, his approach. But I'm very happy that he knows the reason why he got so many runs, and he's got a lot of them. And it's great to see him put that performances now even in Australia, because if you see his record in subcontinent conditions, it's been phenomenal, but overseas condition it's not been great. Whereas what you want in this series is your number 3 batsman to be like a wall, to almost soak in the pressure, play a lot of deliveries, which allows the free flowing batsman at the other end to go and play the natural game. So I think it's great to see, and above all, the application. And playing to the situation is what you demand and expect from any batsman at this level. And just an example is a young Rishabh Pant. He just didn't apply himself to the situation the team was in. You cannot go out and play a game and you cannot tell that this is my game. You have to keep adapting, and that's something which Pujara has done even today's game so far.
It almost sounds unthinkable that Rishabh Pant can ever try and take things from Cheteshwar Pujara. Such different batsmen. But if they are to, how can they? If I'm to tell Rishabh Pant or even Rohit Sharma, yes, you've got all the shots, you've got all the flip, but take something out of Pujara. How do they actually do it? Can you?
It's about focus. It's about concentration. And when Rishabh Pant was playing, it was very evident that he was not able to control the thoughts which were going in mind. And you cannot be in that space of mind. You cannot be restless. And especially in this situation, see, I have played with some of the best and against some of the best. And some of them have been phenomenal stroke players. You go out and play your natural game, but it's very important that that natural game should be in line with what the team demands from you. You can't go out and say, this is my natural game, and if that natural, while playing that natural game, I get out, so be it. It cannot happen like that. So I think Rishabh Pant is young in his career, but he has to realize that he has to play to the demands of the team. If that means that he has to fight it out, you play your natural game, but you play high percentage shots. So what Rishabh Pant didn't try to do was play the high percentage shot. How can you hit someone like Cummins? You're trying to play across the line. You cannot expect when the team already lost 4 to 5 wickets. And I think the way he got out to Nathan Lyon again exposes his defensive technique. His left leg planted straight, almost trying to avoid the LBW decision, and in the bargain the ball gripped and turned a bit and he was caught behind. So I think it's just a change in the attitude which you look to see from Rishabh Pant. He's young, but he has to learn quickly.
143 for 6, so they need to fix this. India, if they can, they have their last, you'd say, reasonable batting pair. After this, it's just the bowlers. More on Cheteshwar Pujara, and perhaps we'll try and get down to why he remains just a different type of success story. Virat Kohli is great in many ways, but just the ability of Cheteshwar Pujara to leave, and we've spoken of how the leave is one of your best friends when you're travelling as a batsman overseas, but left alone 26%, that's more than all the other batsmen combined today. He's defended 37 and played 37% of shots, but he takes his time, he takes a lot of, it drains down a bowler bowling to Pujara also, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you could see, imagine if India were 2 down at this stage, in those conditions, how flat the bowling would feel. Having been a bowler, I know, sometimes that the pitch, I mean, they were really consistent, but India's made their job easier, and you need guys to bat the way Pujara is. Okay, I mean, maybe differently, maybe a lot of the other batsmen have few more shots in their armory, but the approach has to be the same. I mean, what the team demands, like Laxman said, at given situation, what the team needs. I think, Rishabh Pant was the only one out defending, but even so, I mean, there's been enough good balls bowled today, but none of the ones that have got the wickets.
There was an excellent comment on the previous show, Hodge, and I didn't take it because we had moved on from the chat, but it said, who says T20 doesn't take wickets in Test cricket? About 3 or 4 of those wickets in this innings have fallen to it. Cheteshwar Pujara, imagine what it's like being him. Not fancied for IPL cricket, doesn't play the shorter formats, always a tight sort of leash, subject to criticism perhaps unfairly about his strike rate and impact by his own camp, and he produces this. Not the most technically astute or gifted batsman either. What's it like to be Cheteshwar Pujara in 2018 in Test cricket?
Well, he adapts to the situation, very well. What Laxman said, that he knows his role in his team. His role is to get down there at 3 and try and protect the middle order from the swinging, moving ball, and he's done that successfully. I think the other batsmen have just played loose shots, unfortunately, and that's probably a product of the lead up to the series where they played 2 or 3 rain-affected T20 games. They had one game against a CA11 and everyone felt in good form. But you're coming up against the first morning of a Test match against the likes of Stark, Cummins and Hazelwood and Nathan Lyon. I think you've just got to understand your game, and I think that's the one thing Pujara's done, and that's understand his game. He's going to play within the V. He's going to wait till they come to the pads, flick it off his pads if it's there. If it's short and wide, he'll hit it. But all in all, if they bowl good balls, he'll defend it or leave it on its merits, and that's what you do. You wear this Australian bowling attack down so that later on the likes of Rohit and Rishabh Pant can cash in. But unfortunately, they haven't let that happen, and it's something they'll have to look at through the series. That Pujara is certainly shown the way of how to bat in Australia this morning.
I like the point Ajit just makes now, that if they were just 1 or 2 down India, it would just have that flatness, the Australian bowling. It looks a reasonably flat Adelaide pitch. it feels better for a bowling attack when they've got 5-6, even on a tough pitch. You tend to just put in a little more as a fielding side after losing the toss. India have just played into Australia's hands.
Yeah, well, it looks like a 400 plus wicket for sure. I don't see at the moment that, we saw how comfortable Rohit looked at the crease. Pujara hasn't looked troubled at all. It's just, I think it's the looseness or maybe the aggression of which the Indian batsmen have tried to show into Nathan Lyon to get on top, which has probably just been a little bit of their downfall. But it's more about the process. If you win the toss in Adelaide, you want to try and bat for a day and a half. And, if you're throwing the bat wildly and making poor choices outside the off stump, then Cummins, Hazelwood and Stark are going to capitalise on that. So I think it was more a combination of trying to stamp your authority on the series with a little bit of lack of shot selection. But, probably only two good balls that have dismissed the batsmen have been, Nathan Lyon and, Murali Vijay getting out early to a foolish ball from Paddy Cummins.
Yeah, just our thumbs up to Damien Fleming as well. Hodge, we'll let you off. Many thanks.
I did see behind me there.
Yeah, we'll see what assortment of Australian cricketers you keep popping up. You've done Lehman, you've done Fleming. We look forward to more on the next one. Many thanks, Brad Hodge, for joining us. One final question, which I'll take for VVS and Ajit. That's come from you guys on our Facebook Live. Let's have a quick look. Why are they consistently playing KL Rahul? This is something. Once Prithvi Shaw is fit, you'd think one opener will make way, and looks like KL Rahul's 100 at the Oval is forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing because he's obviously good. At the moment, he's not producing. That's the problem. He's got to. I think the worrisome thing we've seen in the previous series as well is this pattern's followed through the series. I know it's only the first day, so we shouldn't go too far ahead of ourselves. Hopefully improves in the second inning, but it was a poor shot in this one at least.
What can India salvage, VVS? At 143 for 6, these two, they can bat.
Yeah.
I mean, Ashwin can certainly bat. Pujara...
Get as many runs as possible. It's a flat wicket, and I agree with Brad. I think it's a 4 wicket. India winning the toss, electing to bat. So get as many runs as possible. You can put up a fight, and then India will try to get inexperienced Australian batting lineup out early, but get as many runs. And Ashwin has got the ability. He's got Test centuries, and the way he's batting, he's got the temperament also, which is important. So I think the partnership between Pujara and Ashwin will be very crucial. And if they can get anything close to 250 plus, it will be great for Team India.
Yeah, it's just feel good after being 140 for 6. Many thanks, VVS. Many thanks, Ajit. Get your thoughts at Stumps. Players already out there and session already underway. Download the ESPNcricinfo mobile app for updates from this final session. It's going at very good pace, so it should be an on-time finish. We'll be back for our Stumps show at ESPNcricinfo Matchday to see if India have managed a wicketless session or if this is all Australia at the end of day one.